right, I will hereby call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Sunderland Selectboard. The time is 6:30 p.m. All right, our first order of business will be to approve the minutes from our last meeting from 12:29.
I motion we approve the minutes from 12:29.
Second, Dan Murphy.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Dan Murphy.
Aye, Nathaniel Waring. Alrighty, moving on to new business. The first order of new business is going to be to review the 4-year 27 draft town budget. Do we have that, or are we going to need to do that next time?
Nathaniel?
Yes.
Hi Nathaniel, it's Becky.
Hi there.
I'm on Zoom, I hope.
Yep.
I will be sending that out in the next couple of days. I'm getting it reviewed. There was an irregularity in the tax recap, and I'm just making sure that I'm recording it correctly on the budget before spreading it far and wide. So you'll be receiving that shortly tomorrow or the next day.
Perfect, thank you. All right, that moves us on to our next item, which is a review of the Highway Department's budget request with George. All right, let me get the right one out here. All righty. Well, I have to remind myself how to read these budget forms after I've done so before that.
So basically, the budget that I presented is basically going to be a level service. What I think we're going to need next year. Hourly wages, I went up that much because our insurance keeps climbing and climbing.
I'm going to give you 1 second. Do you guys want to call to order your city?
I don't know. Yeah, that's okay. We'll call the finance committee to order.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure you were. Sorry, go ahead, Jim. George.
So usually we don't put in a line item for our pay because the personnel committee hasn't met but once, I think, maybe twice. And we haven't even decided or discussed what we're going for raises this year.
Mm-hmm.
So usually we wait on that, but I put this in for an example for our people in the highway department that, you know, if we go up with another 18 to 20%, you know, hike in our insurance, we're basically going backwards, like 10 years in pay. So I put that in for there. I think the town has to do something eventually to help cut the cost for this for the employees.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of money, but anyway, so the seasonal wages, I went up another 2,000 for there because the two people that I've been having work, they've been giving us a ton of time and helping us out tremendously over the summertime. So I'd like to use them a few more hours a week if I can, and maybe a little longer through the summertime.
And that's just the highway laborers, that's not seasonal, winter?
That's just the highway summer laborers, that's it, yep. Our winter plow people that we hire, we haven't been using them because we haven't been getting snow, we've been getting ice. So they only get used when we have to plow for extended periods of time, so we'll call the extra help in. And it's been pretty hard to find people over the years to help out, so. And it's getting harder and harder each year to find somebody that wants to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and come plow snow with us. So the labor overtime, I kept that the same because last year I think we gave back just a tiny bit of money in it, so I think we should be all right with the labor overtime.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, please.
George, I was just wondering, you had been hoping to add someone to your staff, and I know that's what you're talking about right now. So at this point, you don't think you need another full-time person?
I think we could use it, but I didn't think that this year was the proper year to ask for it, so I chose not to pursue it. We're gonna need another person eventually because we've been getting asked and more to do building maintenance, help other departments out quite a bit, so we have to put aside our highway stuff to go and help other departments do stuff. So if I'd eventually like to hire a highway / maintenance person to help out with that kind of stuff. over the years, so that will be in the talks, I think, for next year.
Six seats up here too, Joe, if you want, we gotta have a
Yeah.
table or something.
We got-
By all means.
I can also shift down that way if you want to sit over here.
Could you stay here?
Or, that's all my stuff, I just,
I
feel
can,
free
you don't
to
mind me
move it out
being
of the way.
here?
No, wherever you want.
Please do.
Feel like I just got elected to the select.
You're at the grown-ups table.
Yep. No takebacks, sorry, you're on the team now.
Highway maintenance, we went up another 5,000 because the cost of everything is skyrocketing, so, we went up another $5,000 on that. And the general expense, that's basically anywhere from buying gravel to blacktop to buying structures to rebuild catch basins. Anything you can think of that we need, that's what that comes out of, so. That went
And
up another
road
10,000.
machinery, that's maintenance on the machinery, or is that for?
What? Say that again?
The line item road machinery,
That's for the maintenance of it.
that's maintenance, okay, got it.
Yep. So my budget's basically built up of three categories, but basically it's one budget. So if I go over on my road and machinery stuff, I take it out of fuel, or I take it out of road, highway maintenance and stuff like that. So it gets fluctuated around there, but that's just kind of a number that we use. Some years we go over, some years we go under. And then the fuel, I went up another $1,500 on that, because fuel's not getting any cheaper.
And then the highway snow and ice and highway snow and ice expense, those are staying stagnant?
Those are staying the same. Generally, you guys, or in the past, over the years, they've not wanted me to go up on that, because that's one line item you can overspend on. So once you raise it, you can never go backwards.
Okay.
We were significantly, we were over 45,000 on the snow materials and snow this year.
This year, or last year?
This year.
We haven't gone over yet this year.
I guess it was, I'm sorry, it's 34,000, not 40,
You're talking
but still a lot,
last
a
fiscal.
lot.
Which is not, I mean, if you can do a snow and ice budget with that amount of money, you're doing pretty good. Most towns spend well over 100,000. I think we're pretty good at what we spend it at.
Oh, no, you're great, it's just when it hits, it turned into something we had to make sure we covered in the recap, so I'm just wondering if it's something we should, maybe, inch up a little bit. We'll talk more, George, it might be something we inch up this year.
But that's pretty much the budget. And then lastly, there's the highway garage expenses and the garage energy. The garage energy, you guys usually set the budget for that, and then the garage expense, I went up another 1,000, because we were robbing out of the garage energy last year, because we had extra money in that and not enough in the garage stuff itself, so. Which is just another subcategory of the general garage.
So we're looking at around 60,000 more overall? Just doing the quick math in my head here. Do we have a summary somewhere of the overall increase?
I don't think I put that on there. Yeah, around 60,500 somewhere in there.
Okay. And the overall budget last year's in the 500-ish thousand, does that sound right?
I don't even think it was that much, I think it was like 300 and something thousand.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think we've ever been close to 500,000.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do quick math in my head, and that never is accurate. All right. Crystal, any questions on any of these numbers?
Nope.
Dan, anything from you on these?
No, I'm okay.
All right, great. Wonderful, thank you for that presentation. We will
Just a quick
Any
pass
question?
the message
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, sorry, I was gonna go through things.
Okay, no worries.
Go ahead.
You wanna go first?
I wanted to make sure we got a chance to answer
Yeah, yeah.
questions.
Oh, yeah, no, actually,
So I was curious on the, and this is really a question more for maybe the town, maybe back to the select board than it is necessarily for George. You know, on the wage increase reflecting the larger than typical insurance increases, that totally makes sense. I don't know what the town has done about that in the past. I think the one thing though is that if the cost of insurance is going up by 15%, that doesn't mean, I don't think that salary should go up by 15% because people aren't paying the amount of their salary every year. The employer and employee insurance cost is a small percentage of that. So it's probably more like a 1.5 or 2% increase would cover the additional insurance cost to a given employee. What have we done in the past around that? Have we ever made a particular allocation to the COLA that's reflective of increased insurance costs, or we just haven't dealt with this before because last year was the first really big year?
We haven't dealt with this really before. What we've done in the past, and I think we did it, was it last year or the year before? We've done a wage adjustment. We put it, instead of increasing the COLA for groups that are affected by, because they're lower than market reference or whatever you want to call that point of pay.
Okay.
We've done a wage increase for people who were substantially below the average pay for that job.
But that's separate from the insurance piece.
Correct. Right, that had nothing to do with insurance, it just had to do with, and I think if we were gonna look at any of this, doing something like that, instead of adjusting on a COLA, I think we'd have to, or I think one thing to consider would be a flat wage adjustment instead of rolling it into a COLA.
Well, it gets tricky because not everyone actually takes the insurance. Some people who don't take the insurance aren't seeing an increase. Do they still get the increase to their pay to compensate for an increase or not?
Right, and that's why we did it as that, we found a few jobs where the pay was lower than average for this area, where that had nothing to do with insurance, had nothing to do with, you know, how much these people were paying for anything. It was just, they
Bring
were
it back
lower
to
jobs.
market value.
Right, they were,
Yeah.
Do we always assign the same increase to employee insurance costs as the employer or town insurance cost, or does sometimes the plan increase is 10% and we say our employees will bear 5 and we'll take the 11 or 12 to make it even? Like, how do we do that as a town?
I believe as long as I've been here, it's whatever proportion, let's say the town pays 70% and the employees pay
Say
30.
70% the increase.
If the increase is borne equally across the.
So what they did last year when it went up, they were supposed to go up 18%. What they did last year is they basically went through and worked some of the plans and changed them and made so before your co-pays were very cheap. I mean cheap.
Yep.
And they upped those a little bit, so your co-pays and your deductibles were more money. So that brought it down to I think 16% last year. So I
No,
don't.
we got it down to 10.9.
10.9, so I don't know what they're doing on it this year yet, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
it's tough because not everybody takes the insurance. So not everybody is having this. So, you know, they've got set rates. We've wanted in the past, you know, we've always wanted to be able to increase the town's contribution to health insurance and, you know, get to the point where the town is, you know, paying more towards the employees' health insurance, but with these continued, you know, the past couple of years with the huge increases, we haven't been in a position where we can say, oh, we're gonna chip in another 5% towards your insurance, you know, towards the insurance.
And I'd love to have a longer conversation about insurance, but I don't want to take up George or anyone else's time with that now. So, like, as far as salary increases, like, I'm very aware that COLAs are not always the same as inflation. There's other impacts, whether it's housing or insurance. And I think we want to think about, and the personnel committee, I'm sure, thinks about that when they set that. But, like, I would I mean, I would not be supportive of 15% salary increase, because that's not actually the cost of the additional insurance costs for those employees.
Yeah,
It's a
and
very different number.
in general, I would be wary about doing a different thing for every department.
Absolutely.
I
Maybe
would, that's why we have,
it's-
that's why we have a person on the
That's right.
committee,
Yeah.
That's right.
and that's why they make their recommendations, so.
Right.
But we'll,
But we hear you on the expense increases,
Yeah.
line painting or
Yeah.
whatever, everything. And
Yeah.
so, you know, we gotta see how everything comes together, but like that, take that very seriously, because we gotta do it, so.
any more questions for, or,
Well, first, well, back to the insurance, I mean, the insurance is for all the town employees, so,
Mhm.
again, I'd like to talk more about how we offset increases from the insurance companies rather than increase salaries, because not everyone takes the insurance, like, how do we supplement when there's a big increase to balance it? So that's a bigger discussion later. I did a little homework, I talked to Sam and Montague, who you know, and, they do an amazing job, and we do, George and his team, amazing job with snow removal and sand and gravel. He's right, like that budget, it's hard to do what he's doing, and he's doing it. So I think that, you know, kudos to you and your team. But when you do have that excess you talked about, you just sort of shift it around. I mean, do you end up having a surplus at the end of the year occasionally, or just you have to offset?
Not usually.
Usually it's balanced.
Usually I got maybe $1,000 left in most accounts, so I'm pretty bare minimum, so.
Would it be okay if I ask a couple of questions about the capital requests? I know there's a
Yeah.
separate committee that does that, and I don't want to dig deep on it, but
Yeah.
I read through them, and I was curious, so there were three. One had to do with parking lot over at the sewer plant.
So our main road and the front parking lot car, and the side parking lot car shop
Yeah.
is like totally destroyed. It's all just spider cracked.
Okay.
We've probably put in the last 2 years about 10 tons of patch on it just to hold it together. It's getting bad, so I wanted to put it on there, and we can't use chapter 90 money on it because, at least I don't think, I gotta check into it some more, but, you might be able to, you might not be able to, but I'll look into that more and get back to you guys on that, because it is a parking lot. Cause I know when we did the road into the school, they said no on that, so the town had to pay for it.
And related, I didn't know how it worked between the sewer system and revenues and expenses
See,
versus the
that's,
town.
yeah,
That's
that's
what
what
I
I'm
was
not,
wondering.
that's what I'm not,
Yeah.
another thing I'm not sure about. Are they gonna pay for half of it or how that's gonna go? So, but I wanted to bring it on the radar. It doesn't have to be done next year, but it's gonna need to be done. Pretty much like almost all the parking lots we have are getting pretty bad, so. The school, the library out here, they're beyond their max life, I think.
but we do try and, if there are expenses that we contribute to the sewer treatment plant, we try and
Right.
keep those attributed to that, because not everyone in town is paying for that service, and so they try to be as budget neutral as possible in terms of their part of things.
So, I have a question.
Yes.
I apologize if I was a little bit late to the meeting, so if I missed it, I apologize. So in the wages lines, where you have these really large percentage increases, we know part of that's in insurance. But it seems, it would be it seems like the assumption is that if insurance goes up, that the town's gonna compensate with higher wages to make up for the insurance costing more to the employee, and that feels like an assumption rather than a discussion.
I would agree, yeah.
So that's the assumption, that if the employee share, the 20% of, if insurance goes up $1,000, that's way too low of a number, but let's say it's $1,000, and the town pays 70%, that means the town pays $700 and the employee pays $300. So these numbers include wages going up by $300 to pay for that, the employee side of the insurance going up?
What numbers? I'm sorry, who are you talking to?
She's using hypothetical.
Hypothetical numbers, I just wanted to make an easy math number.
Yeah,
I just put those numbers in there to put them in there.
okay.
Okay, so, because, so we have to decide as a town
Correct.
how much,
And that's why I put it in
right,
there.
what the
so
wage increases
the
are,
town-
okay,
The town can discuss it
okay.
and say, yeah, our employees are getting stepped backwards because of these huge health insurance increases. So if the town can do something to help it, then that's what I'm looking for.
Okay, but you just put it in there, because
Correct.
I was just confused, because I feel like
I wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, so.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, 100%, yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
yeah. So it's not quite, yeah, okay.
No, it's not set in stone,
Okay.
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, typically, we don't even get a salary number in there unless it's a negotiated union or contract.
Right, so that's really, okay.
It's a helpful refresh as we start the
Right.
budget cycle, just reminding everybody, and as
It's
the
a-
personnel
it's a
committee
di-
has their conversation, that those
Right,
pressures
it's
are
for
out
a
there.
topic of discussion and,
Right.
Okay,
And that's why I put it there.
Yeah, perfect.
It's good to have it.
Can I ask one more capital question?
Yeah.
On the trailer, and I only noted it said that this was in last year's request and something, could you just walk us like very briefly through
So
what
last
happened?
year, I submitted 2 or 3 capital requests. One was for a small trailer and a roller, and one was for a tractor to replace our 1970.
Mhm.
Somehow, the tractor/trailer roller got pushed to one, and I didn't even, so when I thought my capital stuff asked, so I ordered a tractor,
Mhm.
and that's all we could buy.
And is that because the tractor costs more than the original estimate, or?
That's because the tractor was more than the trailer and roller.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I only could buy the one. And then the Ventrac that's on here, since we're talking about capital, I am in the process of working with Mass DOT for a grant to see if I can purchase that through a grant. Because they come out with some new grants this year. So I submitted a grant for that for like $78,000. And I haven't heard back from them yet. Hopefully, I think on the 15th, they're gonna vote on it. Being that we have almost 7 miles of sidewalk that we have to plow after a snowstorm, to have another sidewalk machine would be a great help for us.
Is this one of those little like snow blower?
It's a Ventrac, so it has snow blower, it has a plow, you can put a mower on it, you can put a sickle bar mower
There's a
on it.
picture of it.
It's,
Yeah, I'm like, where's the picture? I need.
yeah, it comes with a cab, you can
There you go.
do so many things with it.
Person.
thanks, Ed.
Is that one that a lot of other towns have, or is this one, if we buy it, we can swap, you know how we?
Town of Montague has one, the airport has it. They've lent it out a few times to different towns around the area, for people to try. I know the town of Northfield has one. He says that it does a great job on his sidewalks up there, so, I figured it would be a great piece of equipment for us, so.
No, and unlike some pieces of machinery where the overlap of when we would need it versus other towns, like, like a grader or something like that, we may not be working the same weeks as other towns are. We can share those a lot more than something where everyone's gonna be trying to clear the same sidewalks in the same
Right.
3 days. So this is less of a shareable item than others would be.
So you could buy a large brush style mower on it, so it'd help us brush on the side of the roads. Plus, you can mow on a 40% grade, I think, with it.
Yeah.
So the old dump that we have to maintain now, instead of hiring somebody, my guys can go up there and mow it.
And you've got a trailer that they
That's,
can,
that's why I'm asking for a trailer.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
Sounds like it,
so
everything.
without, no, but, just so we all totally understand it, without a trailer, that wouldn't be,
No, I have trailers, John has a trailer, we know where to get one if we need it.
okay.
Not that we want to beg, borrow, and steal all the time, but.
No, but it just,
Right.
it really
Yeah.
needs to kind of be a.
Well, we do, we work very well with Leverett, we work well with Gill, we borrow stuff, they borrow stuff, so,
Yeah.
it's, we're taking stuff from them, they're taking stuff from us. They need help, we'll go up and help them for a day, we need help, they'll come down and help us for a day, so it's nice to have the extra hands, so.
Yeah.
But it is good information for us to have when the capital planning committee meets, to know that these 2 items are kind of linked in a way where, like, if we approve one, we should probably approve both. So that is good information for us.
But as soon as I hear about the grant,
Mhm.
I will let you guys know, because that possibly will come right off, so.
That'd be beautiful, yeah.
And then it would be just the trailer.
Trailer and roller.
And the board, yeah. And the trailer and the roller, that was 20-something, 26,
39.
39? Oh, 39, there we go.
We're off estimate.
And
I'm just looking at one of the two, that's why, okay, gotcha, 39. Okay, perfect. Any other questions on capital or operating? Yes.
Operating. You note that you want to fold the fuel expenses into general operating expenses?
It always was.
Okay.
Was it 2 years ago or 3 years ago? They separated it for some reason on my line item when we got the new accountants. The new accountant says, your budget's voted on one budget, so you do what you want with it. So, but I break it down like this so everybody can see it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that would be helpful if you are fighting for more funding and we know fuel's going up, that, you
Yeah.
know, that could help justify it.
Yeah.
Becky, just while we have you and while we're talking about highway, is there anything in the current fiscal year that you're seeing in highway that you want us to be aware of in terms of variances or projected, overruns that we should think about as we're setting next year's budget? I know we're only halfway into the year, but anything popping up on your radar?
George is very tight on his budget, and I don't believe he went over on anything. I know last year, in fact, he reduced his budget when we were struggling. Most departments reduced their budget a little bit. I think George was $10,000 or $20,000. He had wanted an increase in his highway expense accounts. And I had heard that Chapter 90 was going up, so I was hopeful that we would be able to work around and get him the extra 10 or 20,000 through Chapter 90. So he did not take that increase last year. He's been very resourceful and responsible with his budget.
Does Chapter 90 come out of Department of Transportation or separate?
It's a separate entity. It's specifically built for all the highway departments around the whole state. They get a sum of money to spend on road maintenance and vehicle purchases, which I don't like to buy anything out of that if I can help it, because I'd rather put it towards our roads.
Who watches Department of Transportation's grants and things? Is that up to you? Is that town manager? Does DOT have anything this year? I know they had the curb appeal, or what, I forget what that was called. They had all the funds to help sidewalks and things like that, which I think ran out last June. Anything on the radar from Department of Transportation that?
They just came out with it's a, I don't know, blank right now. Something to do with the dirt roads and stuff like that. So it's like some towns are applying for like a grader to help maintain these dirt roads. So they'll pay up to $250,000 for equipment. So you can go for a loader, graders, anything to help you maintain your dirt roads, which we don't have a lot of. So so we don't really qualify for anything like that. But there is some new grants out there.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye too, just so you know. I know they've done a one-stop and they kind of combined a bunch of grants together, complete streets and all of that grants. So we'll I'm definitely keeping an eye on things. If I see anything, I'll let George know and the town know.
George, is there any major piece of equipment that you see needing in the next year or two, 5 years?
Probably in the next 5 years, we'll need another truck. Because our 2014 that we bought, because one of our trucks broke a frame about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now. So 2014, we've had to do about $8,000 worth of repair to it so far this year.
Is this one of those like big pickup trucky ones?
Single axle dump truck, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So eventually you'll be seeing that pop up. So probably within the next 5 years.
Do you have and I know this is going to change wildly between now and then, do you have a rough idea of how much that's going to cost?
Right now they're going for about $300,000.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
And when we do have to go for it again, I'd like to do another lease to buy like we have been.
Yeah.
So we're paying for it over 5 years
Yeah.
instead of all in one chunk.
And I think the last of the last round of stuff is coming off. Not the stuff we bought 2 years ago, but the one before that is coming off this year.
I think we
So
have one
have
coming
one.
off, and then we still have 2 on there, so those are, and I think we only have 1 or 2 more years on those.
Yeah, so we should hopefully be in a position where when you do net, even that
We won't have
the other
any of
stuff
those.
has come off and
Yep.
we're able to absorb that, okay. Perfect. Anything else from the finance committee? Alrighty, thank you very much, George.
Thank you.
Moving on to police department budget. Thank you, chief, for being here. Let me get my right packet out. Yes, actually,
Well,
that's a good
mine
point.
is here.
Before you leave, do you have that open by any chance?
I don't, but does Becky have it open right now on hers?
I got my email.
I'm sorry, what?
We had gotten a note from Mel about a, here we go,
Correspondence?
I got it.
Okay.
So, and Eileen Shalavoy, wanted to let us pass along her, compliments to the highway department for such a wonderful job. The crux of it was basically, she always knows when she crosses into Sunderland because the roads are so much better than the town she was coming or going from. So just please pass that along to your folks. I think you were CC'd on the email, so hopefully
Yeah,
you got
we
that.
got that email the other day, yes.
Yeah, but also just for the town to know, we have wonderful roads here. We appreciate how hard you work to keep them there. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Just to let you know, with these ice storms, our budget's getting chewed up quite a bit. We're buying a lot of salt, just so you know.
Yeah.
And we'll work on the weather.
Please, because we need a break.
That would be lovely.
We would all prefer more snow.
Yeah, for sure.
How's their storage, just so I understand, like if the price goes down, let's say in the spring, July, June, are you able to,
I try to
Stockpile?
fill that shut up by the end of the season.
Yeah.
Just so when I have a start in the spring,
you get
or in the fall time, I'm loaded.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, George. All right, next up we have police department. Let me get all of the- Thank you. All righty. So the first 2 line items there, chief, those are gonna be contractually obligated, increases, correct?
Yep, so we have the department head and then the full-time wages, actually all the salary is contractually obligated, so full-time and part-time.
Yeah.
Part-time is contingent on how many shifts are covered by the part-time officers. The increase for the full-time wages, I know it seems drastic, but that makes up the 3 months that we cut off from this fiscal year, because we knew we weren't gonna be able to hire somebody come July. And then you saw the candidate last month, so that shows you how long it took. But to do the full year, we had to add on those 3 months, and that's why that went up.
Yep.
So by contract, that the union and the town agreed to, that's a 3-year contract for them. That goes forward, and they get the ability to get their wages increased every year. But like I said, the bulk of this is the increase to cover the full-time officer that we had only planned to start in October, so we made that up for next year. Not knowing what we're gonna be doing with the non-contracted employees, which is my clerk, I added, I believe they get a step increase in the first 9 years, and she's still within that. So there's a step increase plus whatever anticipated increase. I have put down a potential 2.5%, because I didn't know if we were gonna do that. I think sometimes it's better if I would've put that in there instead of just a 0 line and just wait for the committee to figure that out. Kinda gives us a round estimate as to what we're gonna see. Overtime went up, again, a couple of percent. Part-time wages only went up a little bit. Again, that's based on the fact that this year we went and cut the part-time wages to make up for the full-time increase, so it wasn't a giant increase. And expenses went up $655. It's about a 1% for the expenses. We didn't increase the fuel budget for this year because the car we just got, was approved, was it last year, so this will be 2 years that we'll have it. That's a much better car than the one that we replaced it with, so it's better on gas. So we're gonna see that reflect on the fuel usage, and we're hoping that we'll still be under for the fuel as we have been in the past years. But with the contracts and the increases to specialties for, say, the career incentive, that had to go up to reflect for the increase for this year. And so I know that the total number does look like a 12% increase, but that's because of that 3 month for that full-time officer. But other than that, everything else is across the board, anywhere between 2 or 3% going up. And then you'll have the explanation, just getting into the police department budget, about where it's going and how it's increasing. I did touch base on that explanation about the animal control officer position. We have been without one for well over a year. It was a personal leave for a little bit, and then it just turned into a resignation. And then because of that, we've been trying to find somebody. We have not been able to find anybody. So I reached out to a few agencies around us that do animal control, and the only one that got back to me was the Franklin County region. And based on what they have for this fiscal year, what it would cost us to run through them on their contract from February 1st through the end of June is still below what we have already budgeted in the ACO line. So it's a wash this year. But you'll see on the ACO budget, that shows the potential of what it would be to join their program and for the dog shelter. So we pay into that every year, the dog shelter, whether we use it or not. We would pick up lost dogs. If the chip reader doesn't find a chip in the animal, and we put a post online, if no one claims that animal, within a reasonable amount of time, we'll bring them up to the dog shelter and leave them there. They take care of them. Historically, it's been about $500 a year. This year it went up. We're anticipating next year to go up even more. So with that increase, plus with the cost for a year-long service for them, I'm looking at the ACO budget to go up from $52.30 to $99.28. But a lot of communities in the area do use the Franklin County Regional Animal Control. It's a great service. They've been very kind to us. We'll call them and say, I know nothing. I mean, I love animals. A lot of my staff does as well, but we don't know a lot of the animal control laws that their expertise is in. So that's why we're hoping that we can not only get this funded for next year, I'm actually hoping that the select board will be interested in going into an agreement with them so we can start that in February. And like I said, financially, it won't cost us over what we already have budgeted. Like I said, it's about $3,800, I think, and we still have just over $4,000 left in that account. The bills that have come out of the ACO budget was the dog shelter, I think it was $550, and then the monthly cell phone that we're paying for that doesn't get used.
And this program, this is through the Franklin County Sheriff's Office?
Sheriff's
so
Office,
it's free.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now they're up on, was it Sandy Lane and Turner's? I know they're looking at moving, but that's gonna come down the line. We do have like a contract to use the dog shelter, so if we pick up a dog at 2 a.m. out in the street or 2 p.m., we can bring it there, drop him off, he's inside. We don't have any services like that here, so we can drop them off. And we've been doing that for about 8 or 9 years, and this is the first time that went up in the cost. The ACO, the actual animal control position, so the remainder of the $52.30 minus the $550 and the $40 a month for the cell phone, the leftover was what the stipend was for the ACO, and that was $100 every payroll, so that's about $2,600 just to be the ACO, plus any extra costs that we would have to pay for that employee to go out and do different things. Using their services with the Franklin County program, it would help us out tremendously because they're 16 to 18 hours patrol, but it's 24 hours all the time. They have on-call staff. You know, the towns of Leverett and Wendell and a few other towns around us have jumped onto them as well. So these towns who their animal control budget was half of what ours is now have jumped onto this program. So like I said, we've been kind of picking their brains about what we're allowed to do, and we asked them for guidance on a lot of this. because it's not the normal laws that we deal with. The only thing that this doesn't affect is the animal inspector. That's separate from the ACO, and I don't believe they do it, so we would have to look at what we have to do for that, so barn inspections, things of that nature. But I'm sure we can talk to the FCSO and see what they want to do, or if they even do that. If they don't, then we'll have to figure something out as far as the town-wide, whether it be Board of Health or something that would pick that up.
But currently that's not being done anyways because we don't have any.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and that was only $100 stipend.
And,
$100 for the year?
For
per,
the animal inspector, yeah.
well,
It's because it's a one-time, you go out once and do it, so you get $100.
We don't have that many animals, I guess.
So-
We have a lot of animals, but
Be
for the
surprised.
inspections, no, we don't.
I guess my final question on that is just, is there any kind of markable difference either on the good side or the bad side of difference between what this program will offer the town for service and what we would have if we had an actual full-time, or not full-time, but actual,
So if we had an on-call, and historically, in the last 9 years that I've been here, that person doesn't rely on $5,000 a year. They have a full-time job.
Yeah.
So, and usually that's during the day. So during the day shift, when we get lost dogs or animals or things of that nature that we have to deal with, during the day shift would handle it. And then in the evening, and if there was any overnight calls, they would get called out, things of that nature. The regional program actually has animal control officers on duty that has our radio, has the ability to write reports, meet with us. It's a very professional program. We can work with them, and if they're going to, say, Leverett to do a call, they can swing through town if we have any other calls that are going on, or if we have any animal cruelty laws that we need to deal with, we can work with them on that. So this program has a 24/7 agency that will handle it. They're not out patrolling for lost dogs at 2 a.m., but they'll have an on-call service, so we call them, they activate whoever's on call, and then they come out and deal with it. But day shift, evening shift, weekends, things of that nature, that group would come out and handle any calls that we have to deal with, which is a huge help to us, because in this town, we could deal with a lost dog or a dog running down the bridge or down 116, and what are we gonna do with them? We're gonna bring them back to the station and put them in the garage until we can figure out when we're gonna go to Turner's to drop them off, or what. So in the last year, it's been kind of tricky. If we had this service, we would just have to wait for them to show up, or if we were tied up on a domestic or a car crash, we're gonna be busy with that, they would call this company, this agency, they would come out and handle that, and we wouldn't be none the wiser, we wouldn't have to worry about it. So it would help us out
So you'd
tremendously.
still, again, just so it's kind of clear in my head.
Yeah.
That dog that's running around, you'd still grab that dog and make it safe until they could show up.
As long as we weren't tied up at,
Right.
yeah, but we're not gonna just sit at the station drinking coffee and like, oh, they'll deal with it. We're not gonna do that, we're still gonna go and deal with them.
Okay, I just
until-
didn't know
yeah.
if that was like, you can't do it because that would be stepping on their toes
Oh, no.
with their job.
No,
So you'd still be able to grab that dog, make the situation safe,
yes.
they'll come and take it from there. You don't have to actually transport it now to Turner's, they're gonna come get it. It's
Yep.
gonna,
Yep, and like I said before, extremely professional program. I've watched it in the last 9 years go from 1.5 employees paid to 4, 5, plus they have a bunch of volunteers for the dog shelter, but they all work hand in hand. We work with them. We just hosted a meeting with the animal control officers of the Franklin and the Hampshire counties, so that really worked out well. So we all met at the public safety complex, kind of put a face with the names that we'll see on the board, or if we're talking to them on the phone. And that's a great setup, because then you'll talk to somebody for 6 months without even know what they look like until you can finally meet up with them. And the ones that we've dealt with already are absolutely wonderful. I mean, 2 of them already drive through town to get to work, so if they were part of this, if we were part of this, it would help us out tremendously.
So I guess my hypothetical question is, if money wasn't a question and finding someone wasn't a question, would you rather be part of this program, or would you rather that we had an independent CSO officer?
I would rather this program.
You would, okay, that's what I was trying to
So
get at,
much
because,
easier.
well, no, and,
That's why I love regional dispatch, because it worked out well for us. We're such a small
yeah, I mean, do I
community.
want to absorb a $5,000 increase? No, of course not, I never want
No.
to do that, but what I wanna make sure of is that we're getting something for our extra $5,000. It sounds like we are, it sounds like this is gonna be a better program than what we would be doing otherwise. More coverage through, especially during daylight hours, knowing someone's always there, all the things. So I just wanted to make sure that this wasn't like a step back and twice as expensive, you know what I mean?
No,
So
this is-
that sounds
This is
like,
light years ahead of what we have now.
okay,
And I can say that because we have nobody, but even before, not to take anything away from our previous ACOs,
yeah,
they've been great, but the training, the certification, things have become a lot more stringent, and this group is on top of it, and I can't sing their praises loud enough. If we could have gone to them last year, I would have pushed and pushed and pushed, but it just didn't make sense to it. But now, this year, without being able to find a staff member, I think it makes sense. We were hoping to get someone who's already a town employee that might want to pick it up, and then that fell through the cracks. So this is the next best option. Again, for $5,200, 500 of, well, next year's probably gonna be $650. So now you're down to $4,500 left of a salary. That's not, no one's gonna do that. No, I don't care how much you love dogs or cats or, so.
So is it just domesticated animals? They're not gonna take those calls for skunks under my shed?
Or a
and-
moose on 116.
So, so wildlife is wildlife. We
Yeah.
live in their world.
Yes.
So when you're dealing with moose playing in traffic, we would usually side with environmental police. We would still respond and try to deal with that. Our ACO historically has only dealt with domesticated animals.
Yeah.
We've gotten calls for bats in a house. I love going that when I'm on duty, because I love bats. I think, I'm not a freak about them, but I know how to catch them.
Alright.
You
Hi,
know,
Ozzy.
and toss them out the window, bring them outside, whatever, but a lot of officers just don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, you just gotta know they're not really gonna bite you if you hold them the right way. Wear the proper attire, but these officers, that would be part of the contract. We can go into what actually services they would provide. So I needed to get yes, we want to look into it, so I can reach out to them tomorrow, and then they can send us the contract and all the information, and then you can take a look at it and go, okay, this fiscal year, we have the money in the budget, looking at what the town has already in that line, it's 44, 48 left over, so we've only used, a little bit, $800. This was as of January 9th, so if that's changed in the last week, don't hold me to it. But I want to say, to use this organization from February 1st to June 30th, it's going to be about 3,800. So we're well under the budget for this year, and we could get a professional agency that would handle it, kind of give us a trial run, but with the hopes that the town wants us to have an actual animal control officer to handle these types of things.
well, if we can get it set up so that you, starting in February, have the access to that, that also means that come town meeting, we have some anecdotal evidence to say, hey, this is how it's gone so far, and we're gonna be able to answer people's questions of why are we having these issues. Well, guess what, this year we were able to respond to these in this way, whereas over the last 12 months, we haven't been able to because of the lack of position and whatnot. So.
And historically, our ACOs have had to field mostly phone calls. It's been a lot of questions. Well, I have this going on, what can I do? So they'll be able to answer these questions, where our ACOs were like, this person's calling about a skunk under their deck, what do I do? Like, oh. Put them to the website and show them, this is what you need to do. Connect your trash, don't have food out, don't try to trap it, all these different things. And that's exactly what they're gonna tell these people too. So a lot of the stuff's online that you can figure out how to deal with wild animals.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's a wild animal. If you get a bat in a house, it's called get an exterminator. That's not the town's responsibility to go into your house to clear the bats. Granted, a lot of times we'll have college kids who are like, what do I do? And they just call 911. Well, 911 is not, you don't call because you have a bat in your house. If it's actively attacking you, that's
That's what
one thing.
husbands are for.
That,
We're
Or
teenagers.
so there's things, it's been a learning curve. But in the last 9 years, I'd say the calls that we got 9 years ago compared to the calls we're getting now have changed. People have educated themselves on what you can do with wild animals. We'll always there's a bear in my backyard, and of course we do did you take your bird feeders down? No, well that's why they're in your backyard, because you're living on their land. So just don't go out there and antagonize the animal. He'll move along, or she'll move along. I had a beautiful black bear in my front yard. I get to watch it on camera. I wasn't going outside. She was big, so I'm not gonna call the ACO for that, because I know in 5 minutes, she's gonna walk in the wood line and she's gone, so.
Just one other school question. Are the employees of the rescue or of the control, are they deputies of the sheriff's office, or
Yes.
they are? Okay.
So the ones that would respond for this
Yeah.
are animal control officers. They have a badge, they have a gun, they go through certifications. They would also be able to successfully, in partnerships with their communities, say we had something here, they and us would work together on building, say, we have an animal cruelty case.
Mhm.
So we would all work together on applying for that, yeah.
Okay, perfect. That was
Yep.
the intro I was looking for. Wonderful. Any questions from the finance committee on any of this?
For police or ACO?
What's the weirdest domestic animal you've had in 9 years? Boa constrictor,
Oh,
lizard,
well, we've had snakes, we've
like
had,
those domestic snakes, right? Like, not wildlife, but like
yeah.
exotic.
In people's houses,
Yeah.
yeah, spiders, giant spiders as pets, you know, I've always gotten a kick out of that, you know. I'm
And
fine
the,
with
and the
that.
dog shelter, they take those animals too, or?
No, the dog shelter just takes dogs.
So that's.
So what do you do with the
no,
giant
what do you do with the
The
spiders?
giant
cats?
spiders,
Is
you
that
give
like
them
a
back to
neighbor
the owner.
dispute thing?
You give them back to the owner and say, I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, thank you. But here, it's great to see them, but once they're walking on you, yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, so
But
snakes
yeah.
and spiders are.
Yeah, you'll be surprised what people bring home. You can't flush them, you can't do that, so remember, they do grow up to be adult animals, and maybe they're not the greatest pets, but I know plenty of people who have snakes that are, that's fine, I'm not bringing a snake home, that's fine, but yeah.
So the dog shelter is, so you were talking about dogs a lot, but you often meant all animals, but then the dog shelter is literally just for dogs.
Yes, that's just the dog.
But animal
shelter.
control does other domestic
Well,
animals.
yeah, so
Okay.
you may have seen in the news that there was a partnership between MSPCA and a few of the other organizations in Hadley. And then there's a few other towns that have had these issues. Orange, we've actually had a couple of issues in the last 9 years. But if you have an aggressive dog and it attacks somebody, there's processes that you have to go through, and we would work with them on that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, I worked for Comcast for 7 years. At some point when we're not being recorded, I'll tell you all about the crazy animals that I saw in that job. Crazy animals. All right.
Yeah.
Different subsect, right?
One last note from me, I just want to thank you for working with us last year on that full-time wages.
Sure.
Because that was able to help us get through last year's budget as well. And I just want to reiterate for the finance committee, for those of you who may not be aware, the reason that there's such a big increase in that line item is because they cut a bunch last year to help us over the line with the budget. So just want to leave that context on there, that this isn't really an increase so much as it is a restoration and then a little bit of an increase. So just want to throw that out there.
Did you, I think,
Yeah, so we did add a full, you've been asking us for a couple of years to get that full-time, and we finally got the full-time, which is great. From my perspective, I just wanted to hear from your perspective, how much has that helped your department? And in the past, when you're petitioning, you try to get it, you used to give us the number of calls that have been increasing over time. First of all, like, how has it been working out? You've only had them for 3 months, right? Is that what you?
We haven't even been able to hire.
Still haven't hired yet, okay.
We're sending them to the academy.
Okay, oh yeah, we talked about that too. So how about calls? How are calls this year compared to the last few years?
I haven't finished doing the annual report for the towns. I know that's due next month, I think. But as far as calls throughout the year, they've been basically the same. We have had more motor vehicle stops. We've gotten some grants from the state so we can conduct motor vehicle stops. That has gone up, but we have been basically the same because 2 years ago, I think 2 or 3 years ago, 3 years ago, you guys gave us the funding to have a 6th full-timer. So I was the 5th, that was the 6th, and then now we have the 7th. So that was the first giant increase that we saw with calls. So with that, the basic calls, the accidents are about the same. They fluctuate anywhere between 75 to 100 accident reports a year. As far as arrest reports, that will fluctuate depending on, because we file an arrest report for criminal charges, whether it's someone's physically in custody or they're summoned. And that can range anywhere from suspended license to drunk driving or domestic arrest, things of that nature. Those are a little bit lower this past calendar year than the year before. But as far as call volume wise, I think with some of the open shifts that we've had, that's why we've seen a drop in some of those numbers, and getting this person in trained and then back on the road with us, we're gonna be able to, not by our own attempt, but that number will then fluctuate back up to what we had for the year before. Yeah. And then you'll also see I did 2 capital expenses. One is for a cruiser replacement. 2 years ago, you got us money for the first 2017 cruiser. This one is for the next 2017 cruiser. So we're looking at replacing that. It's historically used on the midnight shift, so we're looking at replacing that car. It just amazes me how much a cruiser costs. I remember when I started as a police chief 19 years ago, I could buy and build a cruiser for less than $35,000. Now you can't even buy the car for less than $45,000. It's between $43,000 and $48,000. And then to outfit the car with the lights, the cage, the radar, all the police stuff that you see in TV shows, all in the front, that is all anywhere between $15,500 to $20,000. So that's why this year's request is at $74,500. And there's a few different types of vehicles we can look at. Tahoes, pickup trucks, Durangos, or the traditional Ford Explorer that you see that we have. Our entire fleet, with the exception of the cruiser I have, are Ford Explorers. And we'll probably stick with that, but it all depends on what their quotes are gonna be.
And is this for a hybrid cruiser?
It all depends on what we can get.
Okay. Yeah.
So I know with the green energy, the towns used to be exempt from that, and now they're not. So the idea is if you replace a cruiser, that one has to be better in gas miles than the one you're replacing. So replacing the Tahoe a few years ago, well, it's a no-brainer, because that thing was $2,000 in gas just by itself.
Yeah.
That was a hybrid vehicle. If this one is gonna be a hybrid, then so be it. We already have one, so getting another one, that's fine. But even if we got a gas vehicle, that's still much more economical than the gas we had in 2017. So it'd still be better on gas mileage.
Okay, and is the 74.5, is that for?
That's for everything. That's the car, the lights, the stickers, the cage, the equipment, all inside.
And do you have a quote at that, or is that just what you're?
That's best guessed. The only one I've gotten so far is from the Tahoe, and I know the town usually doesn't like something like that. So I'm waiting to get the other one for the Ford Explorer SUV type vehicle. So whichever one comes in at the lowest, I'll make sure I get that to Becky so she can see it and get it to the board. So then if we decide that we want to stick with the same style, so when you look and see a black and white cruiser, you know they all look the same. Some of our staff like them all looking the same, instead of having a Chevy, a Dodge, a Ford, you know, all these different types of cars. But we have all Ford Explorers except for the car I drive, and that's the Dodge. And the reason why I went with that almost 7 years ago was because it was the cheapest car we could get.
Is that how long we?
March 10th will be 7 years. I picked that up March 10th, 2019.
Well, who does all the maintenance on our vehicles?
So
better
we
have all fours if we.
Yeah, so things under warranty, we'll bring it to the Ford dealership either in Hamp or in Greenfield. But basic stuff, oil changes, tire rotations, we'll use people who are on the state bid. So like the tires at Amherst Tire, they've got the state bid, we'll go bring it there. We're bringing a car tomorrow for actually this car. I can't not put tires on it, so I have to replace those tires and they get done tomorrow. And then the local mechanics around us will do that for the basic oil changes. But it's usually pretty good, you know, don't have to really worry about too much of the expenses on that.
So there's no real benefit of having another Ford or not, because you're still gonna go to.
Yeah, we're still gonna use the same.
people.
And then the other capital is the PSC repairs, like I mentioned in the paragraph and in the budget explanation. The town's been great. They've given us money in the last 2 years to repair a lot of the station, from paint to sealing the floors to fixing the sign that was put up 20 years ago with the building. That was, you could put your finger through it, so all that was replaced. This one is less than that. It's now $10,650, and that's going to replace a lot of, well, I'm sorry, everything on here with the exception of one thing is like a one and done. You can go get it done and then it should be good for the next 10, 15 years. The only thing that's on here that's not that is the floor stripping and waxing. So we did that 2 years ago. I've been here just over 9, and that was the first time we've done it. So I was very happy that we did that. So we would like to try to do it again next fiscal year. If the town says, you know, we don't want to do that, and you want to cut 1,350 from that overall, then we'll wait until next year to get it done. But it only happens every 2 to 4 years for that. I just don't want to wait another 9 years. It'll be someone else's problem. I don't think I'll be here at 59 at that point, but somebody will have to deal with it, but we don't want it to progress that way.
And how are the floors holding up at this point?
They're much better than they were 2 years ago.
Yes.
You know, we don't have the big gouge marks and the wax and the dirt filling in. It looked like someone had just pulled metal rakes across the floor, because it's just been years. No matter how much you mop it, it just gets in the wax and it's no good. So we want to kind of keep up on that. And it's much easier to ask for capital expense than to try to roll it into the budget, because then I don't do that budget. That's the public safety complex budget.
Now, and you may not have an answer for this because you're not also the fire chief, but is this represent the entire capital request for the public safety complex this year, or are we expecting
So
for the
Steve
fire
and I
chief?
talked. I don't think he has anything scheduled for capital expense for the building.
Okay.
I think he's gonna be increasing his public safety complex budget, but that's because everything's going up.
Yeah,
But as far as actual projects, yeah, so last year's project, we upgraded some of the cameras, got a new video server, because that was end of life. That literally died, by the way, as we were waiting for the part to get in. So it was very lucky that we ordered it when we did.
Yep.
But I don't think he's got anything that's on the block for the complex.
Okay,
You know,
great.
George mentioned parking lots. Our parking lot will probably have to get looked at in the next 5 or 6 years, but that's for another day.
Okay. I do think it's worth, on the note of the parking lot, exploring whether it's more cost effective to do it all at once, or whether it's gonna be more cost effective to do it in a phased approach. Because if it's gonna cost us 40% more to do it twice,
Sure.
well, let's get it all done at one time and save ourselves some money.
I've been saying for the past 7 years that if we could get one of those solar setups like UMass has, that would extend the life of the parking lot even more, because now the snow and everything is going off of that, and
Mhm.
plus you've got solar, but I mean, do you wanna dump all that money into a solar field above the parking lot? It's gonna have to be high enough for the fire trucks to drive through.
Yeah.
But I would love that, but.
Well, and that has been a not specifically your location, but putting those on Frontier,
Yep.
the elementary school, places like that has been a subject of conversation quite a
Sure.
bit. So it's good to know that that's a,
Saves on sanding, salting, plowing.
yeah. And you're not just earmarking land for just solar, it's land that's otherwise useful, you're not adding to the footprint of what you're using, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
We'll talk more about that soon.
Sure, definitely.
Wonderful. All right, all that sounds good for me. Crystal, anything else you wanted to ask about? Dan, anything more from you for Chief Dimitropoulos while he's here?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Wonderful. Anything from the finance committee?
I'd just say, I think that the budget's very consistent and reasonable, thanks for the work on that. As we look ahead, you mentioned, the FTE, full-time officers going up to 7. Will there be going to 8 because we'll have even less part-time people available? Do we think we're stable now for at least the next few years? Any thoughts on looking ahead on the staffing side?
I would love to get the department up to 8 or 9 officers, but I know that we're a small town. We have to figure out what we're gonna do with that. I'm not asking for an 8th officer on this budget. Will I ask for an 8th officer on the next budget? Right now, I'm at about a 60-40, so 60% yes, 40% no. Only because I wanna see how this one plays out for the year. If everything is pretty copacetic, then we'll let it go another year. But at some point, we're down to 3 part-timers. Technically 2, because one of them's actually, 2 of them are working full-time in other towns. So at some point, their duties are gonna grow and they're gonna have to remove themselves. And then we have one person trying to cover all of our benefit time. And that's why if we look at the past years, our overtime has always been more, because we'll offer shifts that we can try to get enough coverage. We haven't been successful in a lot of that because my staff has been working their butts off on coverage and trying to get things done. So it gets to a point where we've had to rely on state police tremendously. And we just have to decide if we're going to stay as the town 24/7 as best we can, or we're just gonna say, hey, listen, let's dial it back and just do 18 hours of the 24. That's another way of working around that, and then you would shift people on the schedule. But then the town has to understand,
There's some gaps.
it was like Robert Kennedy's quote, you know, you get the community, each community gets the criminal it deserves, what is equal to true gets a law enforcement it insists upon. So if you wanna go to a 2-shift or a 2-day shift and an evening shift schedule, and that's what you want, then don't complain at 3 AM when there's not an officer there. But if you want 24/7 coverage, you have to provide that. So what do we wanna do? Do we wanna do 24/7 all the time? Or are you okay with only having coverage till 2 or 3 in the morning, and then state police is covering? And they're great about it. I'm sure we're taxing them out and a lot of the towns around us. If you think of it, Deerfield, Montague, Greenfield, Orange, those are the only 4 towns, I believe. And if I mess something up, I don't wanna get ridiculed on the internet. Those are the 4 that are 24/7, and we're the 5th one. And we've been slacking on that in the last year. So, do we wanna stay in those top 5, or do we wanna step back and be just the day shift and the evening shift 7 days a week? So that's something we'll have to look at doing, and sit down with the union and sit down with the select board and figure out what we wanna do. So, yes?
So on that note, I think you've given this note roughly before, how many of those calls that you get, percentage, a rough idea, are University of Massachusetts students who are renting property in our town?
I wish I had a number for you. We don't ask them, we can
Right.
assume
Yeah.
that their age range of 17 to 25 is maybe something, one of the colleges. But a lot of our calls, noise complaints are noise complaints, whether they're from, you know, Old Amherst Road or 116 Flats or Cliffside or whatever. It could be anything, but I don't have those numbers, so I don't wanna give you a false number.
Okay, no, that's okay. I'm just curious, I mean, I don't know if you know, does the Amherst Police Department get funded at all by the university?
No, they have their own.
Because they do have their own police, yeah, on their main campus, but it, they have some.
But then again, Amherst has 40 officers.
Yeah.
We have 7, once this one's certified, so.
Well, and we've talked about this before, but there are definitely impacts to the town because of UMass,
Oh, sure.
particularly around the barn blowout and that kind of thing. End up having an impact to our police force because of spillover from.
And I would
from
assume
that.
later hours too.
Yeah.
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 So I guess before, you know, we'll get there down the road, but we should look to study how many calls are from 10 PM to 4 AM.
You shared those numbers with us last year, and since COVID, the numbers are people are going to bed earlier. Like like that's what it showed last year's numbers, it was like,
Yeah, we.
they were, you know what I mean, the peaks were earlier in the morning, but
Yeah.
earlier at night.
Yeah, so historically, in the last 9 years, I can tell you that about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning until about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, that is the peak,
Right.
6 days a week. You know, it's Monday through Saturday, that is the peak. After that, it does drop. You have a couple of different things, like the night before Thanksgiving, or when the holidays in the middle of the week. You have these different issues, but for the most part, the day shift and the evening shift, it is completely different. Even on the board, when I say the board, we have our mobile data terminals where we can see all the towns that are part of the dispatch center and what calls they're going to, and we can hear them on the radio. And you'll see during the shift I work, it's 30 people on the board, and then you open the computer at 4 AM and there's 4 people. Sunderland, Deerfield, you know, so it's like, okay, a lot of things don't happen, but, I mean, that's to say, there are calls, and sometimes the more heinous ones are in the evening and the overnights. So, you know, people aren't knocking on your door at 3 AM because they wanna say you make them cookies. They're knocking on your door to see if you're there, and if not, they're gonna break in, so, yeah. But during the day, we have
Or they're dropping off your Amazon delivery.
Amazon deliveries. What do you have, 20 to 30,000 cars a day going through Sunderland every day. We have 3,600 population, and when the college kids are here, we're almost 6,000, so it's a lot. It's a lot for that little 14.7 square miles.
Well, I don't think that these two, both you were talking about are unrelated. Our proximity to UMass Amherst is why we are one of the few towns that has a 24-hour police shift, is because we have activity at hours that Whately probably doesn't have. or
Correct.
Conway doesn't have, you know, and so, you know.
Well, we have cell phone service.
Well, that too. That also.
Yeah, we had some benefits out of that too.
Yes.
So-
Some jobs.
We have about 98% cell phone coverage in this town, so that's great. So people can call, we have a PBTA bus. So we do have a huge commuting traffic population that cuts through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Does Leverett have 24?
No.
No,
No, they just graduated. They just graduated 2 from the academy and 1 left already. So it's, but they're running, once that one is done training, they'll be at 16 or 18 hours, usually 6-7 days a week. So, but they don't have any coverage on the overnights.
Oh, any more
They
questions?
also don't have any cell service.
Yeah.
Anyone else? All right,
That was easy.
thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Before you go, we do have one other thing. Oh, no, that was
That's
the
the
ACO.
Yeah.
Never mind, we already
Yeah, I
talked
tied it
about
all
that.
in.
Perfect.
Talk the dog up from the wagon, so I'll just keep going.
Alrighty, that should be it for, our new business. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Finance Committee, this would be your cue to adjourn unless you guys have something you want to talk about before we do.
I have a process question. So I want to talk to the finance committee and maybe the finance committee and the select board. So there's been a proposal from the kind of 3 towns to have a couple of our meetings, finance committee, select board together.
Mhm.
And did you all get this or did I get this? I think I got this because I was the chair. So anyway, they're doing a doodle poll to see if there's a time that everybody could meet. So I didn't know if we wanted to, like I could talk to the finance committee, you guys could talk among yourselves, and then the select board could answer the doodle poll, and I could answer the doodle poll for the finance committee, say what are the nights. You know what I mean? Like how do we organize that?
Is the joint meeting for Frontier, or what is it for?
No, it's for South County and South County, South County Ambulance and South County Senior Center.
And I thought it was Ann Frontier and Franklin Tech. I thought it was,
In the email, did they say those things too? Because they said Conway might not wanna be there.
Right.
So maybe they would like that too, but the proposal,
Conway was at the first meeting.
yeah, I'm just saying the one that, the email that we got didn't mention, I'm just checking to make sure I'm not making this up. Anyway, so can I go out in the hall, can we, or like, figure out and I'll just respond and say this was basically for the finance committee, or do you guys wanna do that together?
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
guys
it's a logistics thing,
So
cause it involves the
Crystal's-
select board too.
Crystal's our representative as of right now. So ostensibly she will
But this
apply
is-
for,
This is all of our availability, not necessarily Monday nights.
no, my understanding is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, is this is a representative from each board.
No, I think
No,
it's
this is
no.
for when they start doing the presentation.
Right.
Oh, okay, I'm
It's
sorry.
this, but for all 3 towns.
That's my bad, I was.
So it's a logistics issue, which is why I thought I'd bring it up and
Yep.
say,
Well,
So,
then Monday at 6:30 would be wonderful.
yes, sure.
yeah, if you could make that work, that'd be great. So the short answer is, because it's just a scheduling issue, there's no open meeting law violation issue with
Okay.
us discussing that via email. And so let's get an email chain with the 2 committees together and hash that out.
So, so you must have gotten the doodle poll
I
then
do
too.
not. I don't even know what that is.
Go,
Or
do me a
some
favor
kind
and
of
just
poll.
forward the email to Becky, and I will have Becky.
I did forward it to Nathaniel right before the select board meeting.
Then it's probably sitting in my email, and I haven't checked yet, so I will, I will do
Right,
so when I
I'm
get
sorry,
out of
I was
here.
gonna bring this up at the end of the meeting too.
Okay, perfect.
This may come out of what we've done with the school committees, because we dabbled with this with the school committees to try to be more efficient for the superintendent and the CFO. We've not done all 4 towns though, because we just thought that'd be overwhelming. So we've had meetings Sunderland and Deerfield, Conway and Whately. I would just caution, if we did all of them, that's a lot. It does say, I feel awful about Franklin County Tech, because he's gotta go to 24, 22 school meetings. So it is more efficient to get the presentations. We have to be, I think, deliberate and cautious on how we structure it for the first time. So that's my only suggestion. I know South County's easy.
So this is just South County Senior Center
That's
and
3
South
towns,
County EMS that
and
they're
that's 3
proposing.
towns. We may want to try with those 3 towns.
In this particular, this is a trial for just those
Right.
3 towns, 2 organizations.
Yes, and just for context, a part of why this is happening is a desire from our board to have more communication between the Sunderland finance committee and select board and the other towns committees, because largely we hear the presentation from these people and we accept it at face value because we don't have a way of negotiating, because the other two parties that would need to be here to negotiate aren't here. And so we kind of have to either take it or leave it, and we have no power to be like, well, yeah, but can we talk about this item here, and have all three towns be like, yeah, you're right, that's an item that we don't want to see increase or whatever. There is no mechanism for that currently, and so the whole idea behind this is, hey, maybe it's good for actually to have the finance committees, the select boards from these three towns meet at one point to feel like, are we all happy with how this is going, or are we feeling like, because of the way it's set up, we're not getting that ability to be able to negotiate?
So I believe South Deerfield meets on Monday nights,
So they gave us a set of potential dates, a whole bunch, you know,
and I believe that
10,
Whately
15 dates.
meets on Tuesdays.
This is all February, March, right?
February, March, February 23rd, 24th, 25th, March 10th. There's like 4 weeks worth of basically, what days of the week are those? So I can, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, a bunch of weeks.
Okay.
So I will just respond as the finance committee, and so I'll kind of poll the finance committee out in the hallway, because we're allowed to do that
Yep.
after we meet.
Why don't we just do a doodle poll amongst ourselves, and then we.
Yeah, so
Figure out.
this is a when to meet, yeah, so maybe I'll even take those dates and do a doodle poll of 6 of us.
Perfect.
Or you guys can say, hey, from those times, don't even try Mondays or something, don't try Tuesdays or whatever.
Right, another
But we'll figure
benefit
that
is
out in the hallway.
collegiality, knowing like what they're doing in other towns, so,
Right.
we've also done with Mass in Motion, Life Paths, meeting different towns together, so I do like it, I just would say ease into it. And,
Mhm.
Yeah,
you
so like I
know,
said, this is
yeah.
just South County EMS and the senior center.
Perfect. All right, and we'll do something similar on our side with Becky and,
The email this morning came from Julia Chalfant, to the Deerfield Finance Committee. And it's not a doodle poll, but it's a when to meet poll. I call them all the same thing.
I didn't get it, so I don't know.
Motion
and
to adjourn.
I tell them
Doesn't matter
that
what you call it. Apparently it went to Nathaniel.
I will forward it to you.
Val,
I was,
It actually went to Becky and me, it looks like, for Tom.
and I think it did get to you, Crystal, but I was doing it on my cell phone and it wouldn't take I couldn't get the email to come up on the cell phone. But you might have it.
So I have a motion adjourned from the Finance Committee. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
All
See you
right.
guys in 2 weeks.
Thank you all. See you in 2 weeks. Alrighty, that's all for our finance committee joint stuff. Next up for old business, we have select board updates. We'll start with you, Dan. Anything for us today?
Well, sure, I can tell you that I attended the Board of Oversight meeting for the South County Senior, and a joint meeting with the Deerfield Funds. But I know that Jennifer wants to come to us and do a presentation to, obviously, us and the Finance Committee as well. But so I don't know, I've got some draft numbers that they put ahead if you want to hear what the increase is for, so I don't know, I can at least give you that and let Jennifer come and give you all the details if you like.
Sure.
I don't think I'm going to share that number, you want to wait till she comes.
Why don't you send it out off in an email, and we'll let her give us the news when she comes in person.
Okay,
Does that work for you, Crystal?
okay, that's good. Wait, I had one other thing. Just a quick thing, I just want to let everybody know, so I was without a car and I was looking for a way to get to Boston and Brookline. And one thing I learned is the P79 route that the PVTA runs with MassDOT, and it goes right from Amherst and brings you right to Worcester commuter rail. It runs 5 days a week, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if anybody's looking for a need to get to Boston, it's basically a new way to do it. It'll bring you right to commuter rail and get right into South Station or wherever you need to go. So it's I just wanted to let people know that's out there. It's a new service and it's useful.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan.
So I selfishly missed that, being someone who relies on commuter rail, which one is that?
He says it goes
It's
from. Go ahead.
It's P79 Pioneer Valley Transit, and they'll take you right from UMass, it gets right to Union Station in Worcester, and it links up time-wise with the commuter rail. So the bus will drop you off, and 10 minutes later you're on the commuter rail.
Good, thank you.
That's wonderful, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Dan?
No, that's it.
Crystal?
So, tomorrow is South County EMS. I know they're trying to schedule another personnel committee meeting, but I'm not sure when that's gonna be at this point, so maybe next week I'll have something.
Sounds good. For myself, I have a capital planning committee meeting this Thursday. And the other thing I wanted to just mention is at least it was announced that Natalie Blake will be stepping down towards the end of this month, our state representative. So just wanted to reiterate that news in case folks listening to this were not aware of that. And we will find out more about when any kind of potential special election or whatnot will happen. And that is it for me. Becky, do you have anything for us today?
I just want to take this opportunity to congratulate Shutesbury on holding their grand opening of their new library on Saturday. Yeah, it was a long time coming.
As somebody who spent lots of time in that incredibly cold old shed that they call the library, that was all those years, I spent a lot of time there as a kid and been looking forward to Shutesbury getting their new library for many, many years. So I too am very excited about that prospect and will have to make my way up there at some point to visit the new location.
Wonderful.
Anything else from you, Becky?
I'm gonna hold on that and tonight.
Alrighty. Our next meeting should be next week.
No,
No?
next week is Martin Luther King Day.
Right. Are we doing Tuesday or are we just not doing next week then?
I saw it on the calendar, but, oh, the Tuesday.
So I guess that's a question for you, Becky. Do we have enough for next Tuesday that we need to meet, or should we plan on meeting on the 26th?
I talked to Aaron, they were the only ones for last week on the budget. It was not time sensitive. At this point, they are still the only ones for this coming week. If that doesn't change, Nathaniel, let me talk to you tomorrow. I wanna check in with Mel. She might have heard something come through for next week that I don't know about.
Okay, we'll touch base tomorrow then.
Here we don't cut any short.
Yeah. No, if we can make it work where we don't need to meet next week, having to do a Tuesday meeting is always extra hard for everyone to make it work. So, but yeah, just let me know.
Nathaniel, I have one other idea. Maybe we could, if we can, let's just plan to have the Energy Committee do a short thing at the end of the Finance meeting on the 26th. Does that work for you all?
I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He said it'll be 15 minutes.
Yeah, no, if that's the case, then that would make the most sense to me.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Then we can resolve it tonight.
Okay, perfect. So then, yeah, our next meeting will be the 26th then. Wonderful.
Well, she still needs to check with Mel if anything.
Right.
Time sensitive.
Pending nothing from Mel. Okay, we'll find out tomorrow, and we'll get either get one posted by Thursday, or we will not have one posted by Thursday. Wonderful. All right. Anything else from you, Becky?
No, thank you.
Alrighty. For public comment, it looks like we do have somebody online. Oh, that's Keith McFarland, isn't it? Keith, did you have something that you wanted to discuss with us tonight?
No, just budget season, so I was just listening in.
Okay, cool. Wonderful. Just wanted to make sure we didn't miss you. Alrighty, we don't have anything else in person. No executive session tonight. Therefore, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I motion we adjourn.
Second.
Alright, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Dave Murphy.
Aye. 3-0 Becky. Thank you very much. The time is 7:54 p.m.